Hi, welcome to Tuesday morning. I'm Amanda Bates. Welcome to the Canopy Cafe. Today we are so lucky to have Cat Crawford, the owner and founder of 502 Power Yoga in Louisville, Kentucky. She's a dear friend of mine and brings all the good business to our community. We also this morning have some good business highlights for you. Our awesome, wonderful colleague, Alex Page, is going to bring those to you in just a few minutes. After that, Kat will join me with a great conversation about 502. And then we have a couple of fun announcements and a great teaser for an event that we have happening on Thursday. Alex Page, turn it over to you.
Good morning, Amanda. How are you?
I'm doing well. You're still looking like a Willy Wonka camera vibe. I'm liking it. It's very psychedelic.
I appreciate that. I don't know if I can tell, so hopefully the audience is enjoying, but still, I'm going to present some good business news and with the Willy Wonka vibe behind. So the first thing that I want to talk about is actually a company called Net Zero, which sounds kind of familiar. I feel like that used to be like a technology company around here or something. But this one is up out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they've actually figured out how to transform spent grain from local beer breweries into flour that can be used. So the company has an organization called the Twin Cities Spent Grain Co-op, which collects the residual grain from several local breweries and one distillery. They dry it in an infrared kiln, and then they send it to a grain mill to be turned into an all-purpose flour, which is really cool. The resulting is like a whole wheat flour that's sold on Etsy, and you can get it in like 24-ounce bags and can be used for any kind of baking. So if you're baking cookies or muffins or loaves of bread, it works for all of those things. So this is a great way to sustainably use leftover grain because the average small craft brewery supposedly generates like 2 tons of spent grain every week. And while it can be fed to livestock or put in a biodegrading dumpster, which is often done, the majority of it is sent to a landfill because that's usually the easiest and cheapest option. So Net Zero actually has a long-term goal of diverting 6 billion pounds of food from the U.S. waste system every year. And they're also a member of the Upcycled Food Association. But hopefully if this model proves successful, it will become scalable and can be copied in other cities around the country. We could maybe even do it here in Kentucky because we have so many breweries and distilleries here. And this is also a perfect time for Net Zero because the U.S. has faced a flour shortage due to the pandemic. So a company that's both sustainable and providing a supply where there's increased demand, it's kind of the perfect situation. So the second story that I have is actually about so it's been about a year since the 181 business roundtable CEOs signed on to a new statement of corporate purpose. So which that number is actually now up to 220 executives representing 206 different companies. So these business leaders are committed to lead their companies to benefit all stakeholders, including workers, communities, and the environment, and not just their shareholders. So even though the rest of 2020 has not exactly played out in the way that anyone has expected, which has been the topic of the year, the pandemic did make the debate around a shift to stakeholder capitalism even more tangible. So as companies have mobilized to take care of their workers and their customers and their communities in response to the dual health and economic crises. So this website called Just Capital recently did a survey on how they think companies are doing or navigating the shift. And 90% agree that, like, they did a survey of people. I don't really know how it went down, but you can actually visit the website. I think Bitzel can put the link up for it. That 90% agree that it's important for large companies to promote an economy that serves all Americans. And 58% believe that companies are actually doing well on the follow through with that, which is a 14 percentage point increase from when they asked the same question about a year ago. So another thing that came out, these are the 2 main takeaways from this survey that they got, and it's all about how the Business Roundtable is fulfilling their commitments that they signed on to about a year ago. The first is that Business Roundtable signers significantly outperform their peers on all 6 issues that they examined in terms of transparency of their actions and their level of public disclosure. So that's great. But 2, there's also still a significant gap between what the American people want companies to prioritize and what the companies are actually doing. So it looks like, although yes, the Business Roundtable companies are doing really well in the space that they've committed to, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, which is understandable. It's hard to make change in a really fast pace, especially with like such a tumultuous year that we've had. But it's good to hear that they are at least somewhat following up on their commitments. So yeah, if you want to visit that link and read more about what the study that they did, we can link it below the video or in the comments. So. And I think that's all the good business news I have for today. So
a lot of great business news. Thanks, Alex. I'm excited to see what Net Zero does. And you're right. I mean, Kentucky's a perfect place to try to bring that into play and turn grain into something more. And I don't know, do they share any pictures of all the great things that they're baking with yet?
No, but I didn't look too far into the article, so maybe we can link that at the bottom too. So if anybody wants to look into all the things that they're baking, then that would be really cool.
I mean, being a trusted taste tester would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us this morning and bringing us the great business news. We'll see you next week.
All right, sounds good.
Well,
Thank you, Amanda. I don't know if you guys can hear me okay, but Amanda, your audio got real weird.
Did it? Oh no.
Yeah, you're better now. You're better. It sounded like you were underwater there for a second.
Well, I apologize. So I'll start again. Hi, Kat. You are the owner and founder of 502 Power Yoga. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm very glad to be here this morning.
I'm glad to have you. Well, tell us a little bit for the listeners what 502 Power Yoga is and kind of a little bit about your business.
Sure. 502 Power Yoga is, I hesitate to just call it a yoga studio because it feels like it's a lot more than just a yoga studio. It's like a community and a source of connection and a place where people go to like learn about themselves, discover things about themselves. We just so happen to use yoga as like the widget that we, oh, hey, look, there's our website. It's the widget that we use to deliver like all these empowerment tools. So we've got 3 locations here in town. We've got our original location in the Highlands, which we founded in 2013. We added a Jeffersonville, Indiana studio in 2017, May of 2017. And then we just opened a studio on Rudy Lane and Brownsboro Road. We call it our East End location. And that was open just in October. And sadly, it has been closed longer than it was actually open, but we're getting ready to reopen it coming in October.
That's so exciting. Well, just for our viewers, we can go ahead and I'll be honest. I am one of your students, so I am quite partial to all of your locations and to the yoga that you provide and the community that you provide. And I actually am sporting one of your t-shirts.
Yay, it's a good one.
I know. It's a really good segue because your business, one of the things that drew me to it is that you're very, very inclusive. You take a lot of pride into thinking holistically about all people and how yoga can be available to everyone. So tell me a little bit about your values there and how you've put that into your business model.
You know, it's I don't think that the word inclusive like even entered my mind at any point, like in the last maybe 3 or 4 years ago is when that word started to kind of show up in popular media. And really all I had in mind when we founded the studio was creating a place that was really accepting. Like that was the word that we use. Actually one of our core values at 502 Power Yoga is acceptance. And acceptance, it came from, I mean, my childhood, my youth, like I was totally an outcast. I was a dork. And I always felt this feeling of exclusion, and not feeling welcome in certain places. Part of what I've learned over the years is that that's like just my own sort of self-limiting beliefs. But I also knew that creating an environment where anybody else who maybe felt that way at some point in their life, like they could walk in and just be like pulled into like the community, like wrapped up in our sweaty hugs and really just feel accepted and safe and welcome. No matter what your background is, no matter what color you are, no matter what sex you are, just just you walk in as you are, and you are exactly welcome, exactly as you are. And it just so happens to be over the last couple of years that like body inclusivity has become a important topic. Obviously like gender and the current conversation around BIPOC, like all of those things like fall under the same umbrella of like we are here to accept you. And also it's like opened up our conversation of like, are we doing a good enough job, and what else can we do to make sure that we are welcoming and accepting of people? It's like this constant work, constant work.
It is a constant work, unfortunately, because part of yoga is mindfulness. You guys are already committed to being in those conversations on a regular basis. But I've seen a couple of your newsletters come out, and so I know that there's a couple of things that you guys are doing to be more inclusive and step up your game in that way. So can you talk a little bit about the scholarship that you're providing, and also your kind of the statement that you made as a organization around Black Lives Matter?
Sure. So the scholarship that we're offering is for our upcoming yoga teacher training. We typically have one training every year, and it's like this sort of vicious cycle, like this catch-22 of, we want to be more diverse. We've been having this conversation since we first opened, like how can we invite more diversity into our studio, when the fact of the matter is that like our studio is located in a neighborhood that is not that diverse. Like, so how do we bring people in? And because we don't have a very diverse clientele, we don't have very many people who are going through our teacher training who are people of color. And so how do we move that forward, and how do we start to add more more people of color to the yoga community in general, and specifically yoga teachers? Because from what I've heard from some of our students and from some of our teaching staff who are of color, that they would prefer to take a class from somebody who looks like them, how they like to put it. And so we start with training teachers. We want to train teachers so that it can inspire and like be that trickle down effect of getting more diversity in the yoga community as a whole. So the scholarship that we're offering is a full ride to our teacher training that's starting in October. And applications closed yesterday, unfortunately, so I can't like send you a link to the application. It's a little late, but we have a lot of applicants, a lot of really promising a lot of promising candidates for this amazing opportunity. And I'm really, oh hey, look, there's a link. I'm really excited about what this is gonna create in the long term, because I really do think that it's a long term, like this is very long. Project isn't the right word, but like it's just we have to just start taking these steps that are going to have like really long-term effects. It's not going to be something where we just snap a finger and all of a sudden like the yoga world is more diverse. It's just not going to happen that way. So it's just a matter of taking little steps. And part of our statement was that we wanted to start to take these little steps, and we wanted to have be curious, continue to ask questions, like I said earlier, like what can we do? Like, we believe that we create a very accepting and welcoming environment, and it's not enough. And what can we do? Like, what can we do to create even more acceptance? Like one thing that I've over the years, we've had, like, should we have a yoga for men class? Like, would more men be prone to take a class if it was called yoga for men? And from my perspective, I've always said, like, well, all yoga's for men. If we call one class yoga for men, then they might think that they can't go to the other classes. And so we've never really had classes that are like for separate, unique groups for that reason. And now maybe it's time for us to consider having a class that's like, transgender inclusive classes that are transgender only, or classes that are only for BIPOC, or classes that are only for men, or classes that are only for like not body positivity, but like bigger body yoga. And perhaps that's a way to enhance our acceptance, our level of acceptance, and a way to make people feel more comfortable to starting a yoga practice. So many people can benefit from a yoga practice, and I don't want people to feel like they're not welcome for any reason.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, one of the things that I hear in your classes all the time is be up to something bigger than yourself. And how do you do that if, there's not a space for you to kind of breathe into that? And so listening to what you're saying is you're creating these different opportunities for all people to be up to something bigger and find a place where it really serves them and where they can feel like they can settle in. So I know that there's been a lot of things happening this year. We've had a lot of conversation around inclusivity, but we've also, I think, part of being a good business is having to pivot and make changes around being a healthy and safe place to go to work and to have your colleagues and your customers and your students. So tell me a little bit, with that being said, tell me kind of how COVID has impacted your business and then what you've done as a business owner to make changes so that you can still have your business up and running.
Gosh, that's a loaded question, Amanda, but I hope you have time because I could go on and on and on. I have lots of thoughts. And honestly, like when COVID first started, like when I think it was about March 8th, March 7th or March 8th, when the first case was announced in Kentucky. And I knew in the back of my mind that once that first case was announced in Kentucky, that was going to mean like things are going down. We're going to have to start to pivot. So we knew that we were going to have to enforce some rules, and we took towels out of the space. We took all of our props out of the space. And very quickly it became clear that was not enough. Again, like we're constantly in that search of like, what is enough? What is enough? And so we ended up shutting down. We were the first yoga studio in town, I think, to shut down to the public March 17th, I believe, or 16th. And that was about when it got really clear to me that, we're not just a yoga studio. Like, I think I knew that. I knew that it was part of like my values and part of our vision. But in that moment, it was like, oh, thank goodness we're not just a yoga studio. We are a place that provides empowerment, that provides connection, that creates community, and promotes mindfulness and well-being. And we can do all of those things virtually. So we quickly set up a Zoom class schedule, and we kept our community engaged, kept people coming back for meditation classes and power vinyasa classes. And thankfully we hustled and we got that all set up and going. And so we've been able to continue to provide yoga connection, teachers being able to like see and really teach to students from Zoom, which we're all super comfortable with these days. And it's staying around. We've actually settled into a pretty solid virtual schedule, and we're starting to get students from all over the country who are discovering our virtual class schedule because maybe their studio at home went back to being in person, but they're not ready to, and that sort of thing. So we're doing both right now. We've got some classes in the studio, and we have some classes that are virtual. We're live streaming all of our studio classes. And it's been an interesting balance of how to keep people safe and healthy, and also how to continue to provide the community and the connection and the mindfulness that is also really important to people's health and well-being. And so, we're following all the governor's guidelines and trying to do that the best we can. So far, we've been open for 2 or 3 months, and we have had no cases or reports of anything like that. And we just keep taking it slow and steady to keep our students and our staff as safe as possible.
And that's awesome. And part of that was that you only had 2 studios of the 3 open. And starting in October next month, you're going to be opening up the 3rd location again. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah, October we are opening up the Rudy Lane studio. And that studio is fairly small. We can, with the governor's mandate of 10 feet between people in fitness environments, we can only fit 6 students in there, plus the teacher. And we wanted to make sure that we could we had a good system in place. We're 502s, we're really big on systems. And so we wanted to make sure that we had a really good system, that we knew like the cleaning stuff that would work. We've got all of that smoothed out at our original location and our Jeffersonville location, which is a huge studio. So we can fit a lot of students in there, which is nice. Well, a lot being 12, but still that's more than the Highlands and more than the East End. So we are really looking forward to opening that studio up. It's going to be small, but it's going to be clean. It's going to be safe, hopefully as safe as we can make it. And I know that our students out on that end of town are really looking forward to reopening there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so excited for you guys. One of the things that I've been excited about personally is that I think meditation and mindfulness has been really, really important. And the fact that you guys as a studio have been able to provide meditation almost on a daily basis virtually has kind of changed how I look at that and what it's provided for me. And I'm curious about your thoughts on how yoga community, how mindfulness, how yoga, and any versions of it can produce a better community and foster more connection, and how people can carry that understanding and that like viewpoint or way of being into their businesses.
Oh gosh, that's a great question. Wow. Well, I'm going to do my best to answer that. I feel like that was a really like layered, multi-layered question. My belief is that like mindfulness and meditation is just gonna it's gonna make you a better person. Like just to distill it down, like you're just gonna be, and by better person I mean like somebody who is maybe a little bit less reactive. I think that a lot of what I see in the world right now is a lot of really like sensitive and reactiveness. People are very reactive to news. I mean, if you think about like the comments in like a news story or something, like just reaction. And a mindfulness practice can help you to distance your initial reaction from like taking an action, if that makes sense. So you might read something and have a reaction, but then you can kind of distance yourself from it and take a moment to like think about it, or think about the larger context, or like consider that maybe somebody else is having a different experience of something. And so it just helps to create a little bit more ease, a little bit more steadiness, less reactivity. And then how that would translate to like better business is that, you know, maybe there's a little bit more steadiness in business. There's maybe a little bit more compassion and understanding for employees, for customers, landlords. I mean, it just like it becomes another one of those trickle down effects of like that more balance and steadiness of mind can start to impact business decisions, policy decisions, everything, every aspect of business.
That's so perfectly said, Kat, because one of the reasons why I was like, oh my gosh, Kat has to come on the Canopy Cafe is because intuitively everything that you're talking about, everything that you're doing matches up with what good business is. And so if you can take some of these concepts and plug them thoughtfully into your business model, then it impacts not only you as a leader and all of your employees, but to your point, it trickles down into the community and it impacts how landlords show up. It impacts how governments make decisions and how corporations make decisions. And you know, plugging it back to Canopy, that's kind of what we're here to do. We're trying to take good business and move it from an intuitive decision on giving money away and having, you know, the things that we just do out of the goodness of who we are as people, and trying to actually track and make an impact in specific ways and help people grow. So one of the things that we always ask one of our guests is, what does the good business movement mean to you? Or what is doing good, like having a good business, mean to you as a business owner?
I believe having a good business is a business where your employees are really happy and safe. I believe it means doing good for the community, making a contribution, being up to something bigger than yourself, and, you know, just like trying to make it about bettering the community, instead of like making it all about you. It's about community.
That's beautiful. That's perfect. Well said. Well said. Well, I'm so grateful that you came on to our show and trusted me to have this conversation with us, because I think there's so much that 502 can share with the community, and I'm excited to see. Would you like to talk about any opportunities people have to come and enjoy in or try 502 on before we end our time here?
Well, this feels like a really appropriate opportunity to plug our program that's coming up, which is our we have a program that we do usually once or twice a year. It's called 40 Days to a Personal Revolution. And this year we're not calling it revolution, we're calling it resilience. So we're reframing the program 40 Days to Personal Resilience. And it's going to be a program that's all led virtually. So if you're not ready to do in-person activities, it's perfect. It's weekly meetings. It's 40 days where we challenge you to do meditation. You start a meditation practice, practice every day, journaling, inquiry work, and it's all going to be reframed around this resilience as a way to use the environment that we're in, like the total chaos of the world that we're in, and use it to help to strengthen you to move forward from this place as like a way more resilient and strong person. And so that program starts on the 21st, which is a week from today to yesterday. I don't even know what day it is.
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah, it's the 21st. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so you can find that if you go to the website, which it looks like they've put up right here. You go to the website, it's under events, 40 Days to Personal Resilience, and you can join in the group. It's going to be a really powerful program. We've got a lot of people who are signing up and eager to participate from not just here in Louisville. We've got some people some people who have moved away to other parts of the city or other parts of the country who are going to be participating virtually from afar, which is really exciting. So yeah, I would love to have new students, never done yoga before, never meditated before. It's a perfect program, perfect way to get started.
That's exactly what I was about to ask. Can it be a new person, or do you have to have done yoga or meditation before?
Oh yeah, we start off the very first week. We're just doing 5 minutes of meditation and 20 minutes of yoga, and anybody can do it.
Awesome. That sounds great. And then if someone wants to come to the studio or take a yoga class, do you guys have any specials going on or ways that people can join in for the first time if they want to come try 502 out?
We have such limited space in the studio that we don't have any promotions going on for in-studio classes, but we are offering 2 weeks of unlimited yoga on our virtual classes for $20, and that's for new students. So 2 weeks for $20, all online classes. We've got like 40 classes a week.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Well, actually, I'm taking the 40 Days to a Personal Resilience. Again, this will be my second time taking it. So I'm pretty excited, and I'm trying to convince my yoga buddies from Savannah to sign up as well. So
awesome.
Hopefully I'll be bringing some more people along.
I love it.
Thank you so much for joining us, Kat. I really appreciate it. And we'll hope to see you again on Canopy Cafe sometime soon.
Yeah, and I'll see you in the studio probably before that.
You got it.
Namaste.
Namaste. All right. As I promised earlier in the show, we have a really exciting thing happening on Thursday. It's Give for Good. And our team has put together a really fun teaser video that has a strong 80s vibe that I hope brings you some joy. So Ben is going to go ahead and press play so that you guys can see what we're up to. That's how we do it with Canopy. We take things seriously, but we also make people laugh. So I hope you enjoyed that teaser, and we will be putting out the full video on Thursday. Please consider donating to us. Head to our website that's live right now, bit.ly/giveforgoodbusiness. Again, it's this Thursday, September 17th at bit.ly/giveforgoodbusiness. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Canopy Cafe. We'd love to hear from you, so please let us know if you have comments, questions for us. If you'd like to nominate someone to be on the Canopy Cafe, we're always looking to hear more wonderful stories about people and good business. Thanks so much for coming on the show today, and we'll be with you next week.